Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. We're going to be talking about what's new in NAV 2017, and this is going to be presented by Innovia's very own Jeff Pergolski. I know we want to get right into it, so I won't take up much time here. Just a couple pieces of quick housekeeping. First, we do record this and all of our webinars, so if you want to watch it again later, or if you want somebody else from your organization to watch it, it'll be on our website by the end of the day, and of course that website is innovia.com. And also, if you have any questions, type them right into that question box and I will get them called out and answered for you. So Jeff, without any further ado, I'm going to hand it right over to you.
All right, thank you, Abby. And again, thanks everyone for being here today. I'll try to keep my squeaky chair more quiet. So we are going to be talking about what's new in NAV 2017, and I think this is a part of a presentation that I did at our customer conference and that we've been asked to do at various NAV events, where we're trying to call out what's new in NAV 2017, gather some resources. So at the end, I've got, in my slide deck, I've got a page with links that compare versions, depending on what version you're on, looking at NAV 2017. And sort of address the question of how do you build enough value for justifying a NAV upgrade project or a NAV implementation project. And so that's what I'm going to be showing today, and hopefully that is what you are expecting. So we'll jump right into it. What's new? So I've got a handful of slides here that talk about what's new, and before I get too far into it, it is important to note that just about everything that I'm covering here is going to be what is brand new to NAV 2017 as it relates to the previous version, which was NAV 2016. Most organizations have aren't on the most current version, so the list of what is new to you could be substantially longer. And thus, when you're having the discussion with the powers that be at your organization, building the value case for an upgrade project or moving to this version, a re-implementation, whatever it is, that conversation gets easier the older the version of NAV that you're on. So again, we'll keep that in mind as we're looking at some of these slides. Think about what version you're on now and what that means in terms of all the new functionality that's in there, because NAV 2017 is a beast with tons of great new functionality. The three kind of pillars that Microsoft encapsulates their platform enhancements in is bringing two worlds together, and that has to do with Office 365 experience in NAV and embedded Power BI. So their Office 365 world and applications is becoming an integral part of the NAV platform now. It's no longer just the ability to communicate back and forth. We can do some cool things like put an embedded Power BI chart into a user's NAV role center. So that's pretty cool. The second silo is enhancing the core application and platform. And this is maybe a less exciting part, but maybe the most important part of improvements that have been made to 2017. The setup and configuration, so we'll get into some of that, and the way that Microsoft is continually putting increased abilities in the hands of the end users so that you don't need to rely on your partner nearly as much to do a lot of the things that you need to do in NAV. So making that setup and configuration a lot more straightforward, and putting tools within the application that allow you to migrate some data and make some easier data exports and imports. And improved user experience, that is something that Microsoft invests millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars a year, continually improving the product, making it as user-friendly as possible, taking all the data they get from the way users are currently using it, and feedback from partners as well, into making the application what it is today. So, and then some specifics in finance, jobs, CRM, and items. So some different views that they put on item pages, some added functionality into CRM, and some simplified stuff in jobs. So we'll touch on those today. And again, an ERP system, in terms of justifying the investment or quantifying the return on investment discussion about an ERP project, the only way that ERP is going to help you is if it reduces staff and makes your staff more efficient. So, if you're a large organization that has 3 people in the accounts receivable department, does the new NAV application, is there enough in here to improve that so that one of your accounts receivable clerks could move into a different role within the company to start to be more, marketing focused, or maybe more proactive in a different business unit? That's the sort of thing that we're looking to get here, and why I guess why it's important to consider these in the discussion. The creating new opportunities is the third silo, and that's talking about everything. So the fact that you can tie all kinds of internet-facing resources and web pages, etc. Your web store can be tied right into this, and then you can leverage resources like Microsoft's Cortana Intelligence, Microsoft Power Apps, Microsoft Flow, and then for the developers on the call today, extensions and how the code base is changing in NAV 2017 and what that means for the application going forward. So a lot on that slide, but basically we're going to hit those bullet points here and go in a little deeper. What does the in Office 365 experience mean to you as an end user? Being able to stay connected and having the data right in front of you to easily review, analyze, and share. That's a big problem with older ERP systems, is the inability to easily share information from your ERP. So whether it's in NAV, one-click sending to Excel and saving that in a SharePoint site, or emailing that to someone that needs it, or sending an aged account receivable to the right people, and like all of that, because NAV is so tightly integrated with Office 365, all that stuff happens fairly effortlessly. Embedded Power BI, so Power BI as a platform has just grown by leaps and bounds in the last 2 or 3 years, to the point where it is now coming stock on some of the role center in NAV 2017. So if you've seen Power BI, I know that we've done presentations just on Power BI, a humongously powerful tool, especially great for data visualization. So we're going to show some screen caps of what that looks like, and being able to have that right in NAV, not even having to leave your application to be able to see relevant information is an awesome tool that a lot of customers are excited to get started on. And then the fact that it's so easy to connect, like a lot of other applications, there's a bunch of hoops to jump through and all kinds of stuff to configure. With Power BI, Microsoft's already built a NAV 2017 content pack. So essentially you need a database address and a admin account that gives it access, and you're off to the races. So again, setting these things up, and in terms of some of what our NAV projects look like now, maybe we're not going full flung into, when you start to think about all the things NAV could do for you, it's very easy to get overwhelmed. But when you look at, maybe this embedded Power BI, like, we're not ready for Power BI just yet, but the fact that NAV 2017 has it right there at your fingertips means that after you get through with the implementation and you want to get to the next level, you don't need to rely on a partner to do all this configuration. You can have some people that are business savvy that know a lot about your data already. spend an hour with a partner getting the data synchronization schedule set and those passwords and addresses entered, and you're off to the races, and you can build your own role center dashboards and for different people within your organization. And 90% of that stuff is done with a free Power BI account, not even their advanced one. So that stuff's all really cool. In terms of setup and configuration, I talked a little bit about this on the earlier slide. Getting stuff up and running faster. So on one hand, that should mean that projects are done more affordably. And so some of those benefit the partner maybe more than, but ultimately you as an end user, benefit from the fact that a project is delivered more efficiently, and that the time that used to take us to migrate the data and set up the RapidStart tools, all that stuff has been improved. So now we can spend some more time being, consulting with your business to try to align, your business process with the software and get the most out of your people. So, so there's the assisted setup feature that takes you through setup scenarios, and it really simplifies things from, even just 2 versions ago, substantial improvements over the wizards and how you set up taxes, and it's all meant ultimately for you, the end user, and cool stuff like cash flow forecasting and being able to leverage Cortana Intelligence in some of your inventory positions. That's all really cool stuff. That user experience, continuing to make it more simplified, and just put the data in front of your users that they need to do their job, and not overwhelming them with too much data. So that stuff is all are all improvements that come in the 2017 product. I mean, this is all an iterative step. Every time Microsoft releases a new version of NAV, they are making improvements in all of these. But the stuff that's in 2017 is cool. Finance, they've got the built-in financial statements, the default account schedules, meaning you don't even have to set that stuff up. It's already ready to go, and you enter in your accounting periods, you're ready to go. So the reporting tools, being able to create reports using templates from Microsoft Word that people are intimately familiar with, using Microsoft Word for the last 10 plus years. Most of your user base is going to have a great deal of comfort working in that spot. So again, Microsoft is empowering you, putting the tools in the NAV 2017 application to allow you as an end user to do more yourself and rely less on a partner. The jobs, some people refer to it as projects in NAV. There's a project manager role center now, so Microsoft's really focusing on the jobs role. And if you use that in your organization, if you're not using production, but you're using jobs or projects, this can be a great tool for you, and that improved interface really makes it nice. CRM, so again, the tight integration for those that are using Microsoft Dynamics CRM product, but for those that need just a basic but very powerful and tightly integrated CRM package, it already comes within NAV, and you don't need anything else to do it. So that is that's something to consider. A very one of the most underutilized pieces of NAV is CRM, and consider that if you own NAV and you get to the current version, you have all the power of CRM. And I'd encourage you to search on YouTube, on our Inovia webpage, at previous webinars that Tom Dorn has done comparing the functionality to show you what's possible in NAV CRM. You can do a lot. And one of the exciting things for me, items, that is the new brick view, where you can see pictures of all your items rather than just their just the list page view of part numbers and SKUs. I'm a visual guy, so I love the pictures. It really looks good on the phone client or the web client, where you're not going to want to look at a list page view on your tiny phone screen. So being able to see the pictures of items and being able to click on an item when you're in front of a customer and open up the item card from the photo and being able to see relevant information on hand stock quantities, where which facility you've got, everything that you have on the item card, but being able to drive that from a mobile application, from a picture of the item, and being able to input all of that information, as well as the fact that they've added attributes out of the box now. That's something that's a pretty common modification, but being able to keep track of different attributes of items, whether it's weight or dimensional information or things like color. So you want to see everything that is green. You want customers to be able to filter on that easily, or your CSR reps when they're checking stuff out. So attributes is a cool new feature that's been added. And then getting to the bullet points of that third column, the everything, being able to tie into payment services like PayPal to get you paid quicker. As you start to, again, going back to the topic of this webinar, building value for a NAV 2017 project, does having things like PayPal, or being able to send out links within invoices coming out of NAV that give your customer the ability to click the link and pay that invoice, does that save you on collections people? Does that save you money by making your customers, giving them the ability to pay faster and more easily? Absolutely. Now, is that enough to pay for a NAV 2017 project on its own? Probably not, but you start to add up all these nickels and dimes, and pretty soon you've got some significant savings. Not to mention the improved OCR scanning capabilities. So being able to automate that process of bringing in purchase invoices, purchase orders, et and not just the header in detail anymore, but in 2017 adding the line detail there. That's a huge time saver, and there's a lot of organizations that are really benefiting from that efficiency. Cortana Intelligence. So the fact that you can start to look at your historical data. Now, there are some caveats here in that you need, I believe it's 5 months of data in order to for Cortana to start to have some suggestions about inventory levels and predicted sales. But having that built into your ERP application, giving you the power of Microsoft's Cortana engine, that's huge. And people like to talk about big data and and how that relates to your market sector, but really what I think what I've found is that organizations care most about little data, that means their own data, and being able to overlay their data with with big data. So comparing your sales geographically to maybe a database that shows in your market sector geographic sales all over the world, being able to see where you are in markets maybe where you think you can gain some ground, but being able to compare your data to bigger data sets is what is sort of what we're talking about being able to do in the NAV 2017 application, using using the built-in tools that Microsoft has, as well as some of the external stuff like we're talking about on this slide, Power Apps and Microsoft Flow. So again, Power BI is embedded to the point where there are chart parts in the role center. You can connect to Power Apps and Flow so that very easily, I think Alan's done some presentations on what you can do with Microsoft Flow. It's a really cool and easy application, and a way for people to manipulate their data, automate some processes inside of NAV, as well as like 50 other applications, but to be able to do that without any serious coding experience, setting some if this then that statements, and being off to the races as far as ideas like when a new customer fills out an application, being able to recognize geographically where they're at, which rep should get that, and automate an email that goes to the rep that says, hey, a new customer has been added in your territory. Please reach out, or please check the customer card, or whatever it is. But being able to have your ERP system do that all automatically, it's pretty cool stuff. And finally, the maybe the least exciting part about this is about the changes to the application, unless you're a developer, is the use of extensions, and how Microsoft is continually working to extract the source code from any customizations that exist. And why that matters is that in the past, the reason that highly customized NAV systems were expensive to upgrade is because that source code was customized, and that meant that when we were moving that database forward, we had to recreate that customization and touch all those things as we move them forward to the new applications code set. With extensions and being able to extract the custom level from the base level, that means that we are moving forward. We don't have to touch, we're not touching the source code, so we can move all of that customization over more easily to new versions in the future, and that's going to lead to less expensive projects, and also higher performing, because Microsoft's controlling more of the base code. So there's again, we've had some of our developers present on those topics. I'd encourage you to search those out and search resources to understand how that can make a difference in your organization. And it's something that actually is something that doesn't have to be done as what we refer to as code refactoring through some of these projects. Maybe you don't have budget to do it all in the stage one, but knowing that we've looked at your budget or that we've looked at your database, and that we can start to put some budget numbers around how long it would take to refactor and extract all of your customizations to get to the point of using extensions is it's a great move that Microsoft has made in terms of making the application better. So just a reminder, getting back to that, what we just talked about, those three pillars, a little bit of some visual data here, and we'll get into how using Outlook with NAV makes a difference when you're on Office 365, and some of that information. The Outlook add-in has been hugely popular in 2017. Being able to not leave Outlook and access customer information, having your Outlook constantly check and immediately recognize if an email comes to you from a contact that is set up in your NAV system, and being able to see everything you need about that company without leaving Outlook. Some of us that have been around a while were a little bit frightened when Microsoft removed the Outlook part from NAV, and that used to be part of our solution story when we like to talk about the tight integration and between the Microsoft Office platform and Microsoft Dynamics NAV, and so it seemed like they were making a move in the opposite direction, removing the old Outlook part where you could see your calendar and your inbox from your role center. And then in talking with Microsoft, they said, we talked to a lot of people, and it turns out that rather than trying to run Outlook in NAV, users said they felt more comfortable and they'd prefer being able to run NAV in Outlook. So essentially, that's what we have in the 2017 product with the Outlook add-in. It's really a powerful tool to be able to for those that live in their email, to be able to get in and change a quote for a customer from an email request, and being able to do that just in Outlook without ever having to launch Nav or leave your Outlook window is pretty cool. And so, you know, creating the data connections from Excel directly to Nav, and being able to manipulate the data in Excel and push it back into Nav is something that is new. So so that stuff is cool. How does that you know, how does that benefit your users? Obviously, it saves time, keeping them better informed. So being able to snap back a quick reply to a customer with a change that's made, you know, and then having all of that information, all those changes that you've made automatically be synced with your NAV database is awesome. And most importantly, increasing accuracy. So, you know, not having to flip back and forth between screens or applications to figure out what the customer is asking, being able to stay right in there and get what you need to, you know, make the changes that you need, address your customer concerns, and do it quickly and accurately. That's what we all want as both a business and a consumer, I'd say. And this is just a quick screen cap of what your inbox looks like. This is actually not even a Outlook window. This is a Office 365 mail window. So we're looking at the web version of an email, and you can see we've got a request for a quote on some furniture, and we're immediately, because this person is set up as a contact in NAV, it recognizes that they are the contact for the Canon group, and so we know that right in our email, we've got what their current balance is, what their year-to-date sales are, and how much is past due. So, you know, let's say we want to help with collections. So while they're asking us about while they're asking us for a quote, we could also say, okay, here's your quote, and also could you maybe let me know where we stand in this past due, and send that list of past due invoices to them without ever leaving Outlook. So again, that's a pretty cool feature. Bookings, let's see, we're not going to talk about bookings right now. The data connection part about being able to you know, change data, adding and deleting records, and then pushing that right back into the NAV database is especially good when you are working with chart of accounts and budgets. That is something that's cool. And I guess a consideration in terms of licensing, and I get this question a lot, you know, what do we need to be running? Which version of Outlook is this compatible with, and which Office 365 account? So essentially all you need to run the Outlook add-in is an Office 365 Exchange Online account for that user. It doesn't require you have any certain E5 or E6 or one of the more expensive SKUs. If you own Office, or you've got at least an Exchange Online account so that you can use that web page to access your mail, you'll have all that information that you need. So really the licensing impact is minimal. Embedded Power BI. So again, having that built right into the role center. This is what the Power BI dashboard looks like in the Power BI. I grabbed this screen cap from a Power BI web page. When comparing that to the Business Manager Role Center, where you see the same reports, but now they're in a page part in the Business Manager Role Center. And in the same way that you can slice and dice the data in Power BI, you can do everything the same way. You can apply filters within the Power BI page part in NAV, so you don't lose any functionality, and you can always drill into stuff, and it'll, in the same way, you can go from the Power BI dashboard, drill right into NAV data, and see what's building up these different chart parts. You can do that same thing within NAV, and obviously takes you right to the appropriate list page or whatever that data is coming from within the application. So the user benefits of that, of course, security that that a lot of times is just taken for granted. The fact that you're not putting a bunch of different systems together and remembering passwords for those, and setting up all of these, poking all of these holes in your firewall and in your application security and your network security. You've got a single Office 365 account that you can use to authenticate to NAV. That is that improves security because you're minimizes risk because you're really shrinking down your threat vector there to a point where all you need is one username and password, and it's really easy from the administration side as well to manage that. Being able to get started quickly, so the fact that content packs are already available makes it easy to get you your NAV data into Power BI with a few clicks, and then being able to see those reports, have them have people save the link to Power BI so that whether they're on their phone traveling, their tablet, or sitting at their desk in front of a computer, they have one-click access to all of this, the important dashboards that run your business. So the simplified setup, obviously, being able to launch applications with little user interaction, all of these things, as you start to look at the total cost of ownership of a project around ERP, all of these things matter. I mean, it doesn't just matter the efficiency of your business organization, but what about the efficiency of the people behind the scenes, having to maintain a big, heavy application, needing to rely on IT staff to write reports for you, to give you access to the data you need. Like with NAV 2017, Microsoft is making steps in the direction of freeing you up to have access to your data, to be able to create reports and data connections, to do that all by yourself without relying on a partner, and in some cases without even having to rely on internal IT to actually empower your users to get the data that they need in front of them all by themselves. So the repeatable setup experience and streamlined user setup, those are the things that I'm talking about. Microsoft putting the power in your hands as an end user, and a lot of assisted guidance and automated steps and wizards that this company setup wizard, starting to just list the chart of accounts and giving you the ability to set this up using a tool like Microsoft Excel that just about everyone is familiar with and has some expertise with, and being able to put those sorts of tools in your hand to get your company up and running is really valuable, and getting to the point where we think, we still don't say that NAV is a self-implementing system, but Microsoft is certainly making steps in that direction to make it easier, and certainly easier for partners to do. And then the ability to, when you're doing the setups, like, we want to be able to send some external documents along with stuff coming out of our NAV, being able to do that in the assisted setup section when you're going live at the beginning. The fact that there's a role center that allows you to monitor the progress as you're deploying NAV and setting up a new company there, and giving you all this, the check boxes that never used to be there. So that's all really helpful stuff. There's new relevant areas for the business manager role center that has the stuff like setting up services and extensions, the automated setup and tasks, having buttons on the ribbon for those setups, which make it super easy and super easy to keep track of, and super difficult to forget and miss steps, which is when a lot of ERP implementations go bad, is when steps get missed and things get overlooked. So just a real quick high level over what those setup data includes, and the different tax setups and journal templates, dimensions, number series, the basic handful of things that you need to have when you start up. Many of you aren't familiar with this because maybe you've relied on your partners in the past, but and you probably would continue to do that, but you never know. Microsoft is putting more and more power in your hands, so you're going to have options. And then another huge benefit to 2017 is the much improved web client, and that is as PCs, get their market share shrinks and shrinks, and the number of PCs within your organization continues to go down. Being able to run a fully capable version of the application in a web browser becomes even more important. So, so they've made a big leap from 2016 to 2017, further simplifying the experience of deploying the web client, and then not removing a lot of the limitations of the web client that were previously there. So being able to to not have to download the tablet client, or to be able to have really inexpensive thin clients on the shop floor for your processes there to enter data from shop floor data collection. Being able to do that on a thin client, dummy terminal, not needing expensive PCs to be able to run the application is a huge benefit. Yeah, and there are some small but important changes that allow you to save shortcuts, and that just the sort of thing that you come to expect to be able to do in the application that you couldn't do previously in the web version of it, which you can do now. So again, all this content will be available afterwards for you to look at. The system requirements for the NAV 2017 web client, it works on both Edge and Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. So so it won't run on Safari for iOS, which is the version of Safari that would run on your phone or iPad, but it does run on Safari. So if you're running a Mac computer, it'll work. Microsoft's thought is that there's now a phone client and a tablet client for you to run if you are on if you're running an Apple product. So they're not supporting that Safari for iOS anymore. So, but pretty much any browser you want, and you're covered there. And that's again, that speaks to the part of just not so much the application itself, but the administration of the application behind the scenes, being able to have a fully functional version of the software run in the browser is a big deal, and can save customers money. It also makes it more efficient when if your people have to move around a lot from workstation to workstation, and all they have to do is sign in and get the web version on whatever machine they happen to be working on that day, and it has all of their preferences, their role centers that are configured specifically for them. All that stuff follows them, and it doesn't matter what machine they're on. So now some of the finer points into the application itself. Finance. So again, we talked about the default account schedules and improved reporting, things that our finance customers have really liked, the reconciliation of bank payments, and you can do that all now in one place and in one step. It has improved customer matching, so it'll suggest once you enter the payment amounts, it'll suggest how it thinks those should be applied. A little bit of intelligence and logic there, and then being able to filter those payment information, and just to look at being able to focus on the ones that you need to deal with, and filter out the ones you don't, without having to continually regenerate the journal with different preferences, and they're just hiding the ones you don't want to see. And then summary information, and probably most importantly, that verification screen that gives you the ability to see if you are going to post this transaction, what's it going to do to all the accounts, instead of having to say, whoops, I missed something here, now I'm gonna have to go back and post a bunch of stuff to correct my mistakes. Seeing that verification screen that allows you to see it before it's posted makes it saves a lot of time if you're like me and you make mistakes occasionally. Don't tell my wife I admitted that. So again, user benefits, obviously efficiency, avoiding double work, and minimizing minimizing errors. Here we've got a quick screen cap of what that payment reconciliation journal looks like, and how you can very easily filter to what you want to look at. Account categories, another area in finance, that mapping chart of accounts, to a predefined category is helpful. Easy to use and understand. I mean, a lot of people that have we've got a number of 2017 projects underway and a handful of them completed. The people in the accounting team love this, the new account categories, and then being able to automatically update account schedules when you change your mapping, having that done automatically, not having to manually go back and do that is a huge time saver. So again, it's easy to get started because they're pre-configured, easy to understand and configure, personalize, and then use reports that, so in the financial reports, the typical balance sheet, income statement, cash flow, and retained earnings, like that's all, those reports are already built in. So you just need to populate your account balances, which you can do using the automated startup stuff, and you're off to the races and you have some relevant information immediately. Of course, point in time reporting and having stuff, in front of your key business users immediately and in live is a huge advantage to any organization, and something that every organization, I believe, hopes to have for their people. And so Microsoft has put the money and time in NAV to help make significant strides. I mean, the software does not run itself, and it requires people to enter accurate information in a timely fashion, but certainly has all the capabilities of really allowing you to leverage your business data to become a strategic advantage for you. The jobs projects module, you can assign tasks now right in the job card. You can see the pending tasks. That project manager field is interesting in that how people are going to use that to really take jobs to the next level. Even if your organization is using production, but you've got some interesting scenarios where jobs make sense. All of this stuff in the 2017 version and the new licensing model, you get all of this. So, this may be a, 5 years down the road, we're going to start using jobs to figure out every time we, hire a new employee, we're going to put some tasks together about what is necessary, and we're going to do that right within our ERP system because we have people who know how to use it, and we don't want to have to use some other HCM or human capital management system to manually do some of these processes. We're going to automate it, keep track of it in here, and maybe use workflows or something else along with the simplified jobs module. So there's a lot of potential and power here. We'll take a look at that project manager role center. So again, what's important to them from an activity standpoint, just having the cues on their role center that tell you what's important on that day and what they should be looking at, and being able to color code those, letting the project manager know at a glance how things are going within their organization, and especially within these jobs. Simplified CRM, again, check out our blogs that go and webinars that go deeper into this subject, but NAV has a really full-featured CRM that does what 90% of businesses need out of their CRM system. So again, take a look at what you can do within that. You're entitled to, if you're running NAV 2013 and newer, you're entitled to CRM, and CRM in NAV 2017 is even better. One of the cool new role centers is the sales and relationship manager. So this is looking at a phone or tablet view of the application, but having the sales pipeline, show up right on the role center to keep that front and center. it's cool. You see there, I've got an asterisk here that the role center doesn't support the campaigns and to-dos, but because it's more of a manager role center, that maybe I think Microsoft was thinking maybe those sort of to-dos are would be an account rep or a salesperson functionality. They've left that off the wizard, but you can set up email logging so that every time you email a contact in NAV, if you're a salesperson, that gets automatically logged. It requires admin rights to the Office 365 account, but that is being able to keep track of all that so that everyone within your organization can see the sort of email conversations that have been going on can be an invaluable source of information to keep everyone in the know. It's not that you need to broadcast these emails to anyone, but if someone is looking, they know where to find the stuff, and it's all done automatically in the background if you turn that on. Bouncing back into the basic core of the application, items and item cards are a super important part of NAV. Being able to have item categories now to group your items into whatever sort of structure you want is really a cool new feature. Whatever those attributes of the category are that you want to assign to the items in that category, that's all done automatically. So it saves you time when you're creating items, if you're creating new families of items, if you want to track things from, sort of like in the way that the NAV uses dimensions on the financial side to tag transactions and different ways. This is using it on the inventory side for you to keep stuff straight. The benefits of that, ensure consistency, make it easier for people to see the stuff that is grouped appropriately, and then ultimately you can use that in to stuff like your web store, so it makes it easier for customers who are looking for something that's purple to find everything that's purple within your organization using categories or attributes. And speaking of customers and web stores, the payment services and PayPal standard payment link that is included in 2017. These integrations, because NAV has such a humongous install base, there are vendors are lining up to see how they can make their applications talk better and work better with NAV. And PayPal has gone to that point where they've generated some PayPal links that get automatically included if you'd like with emails, if you're signed up for that service. It doesn't make sense for every business model, but certainly it does for a lot of business models, and having that built into the application obviously saves time and money and helps you collect payments sooner from your customers. Pretty obvious benefits, the flexible per invoice settings, so that you can allow people to pay only whole invoices at a time, or you can let them do multiples. That's just making it easier for the customers. And setting up a payment service, here's a screen cap I grabbed of how easy that is to do. Basically you're looking at the PayPal gives you the target URL. You include that in your in the disclosure on the invoice email that you send out that has this link in it, but you're copying and pasting a few things from PayPal and setting that payment service up, and you are off to the races. This is the adding a PayPal link on an invoice. Again, that's a customizable field. Doesn't make sense to do it on everyone, but you see here, this is a printed, I should say a PDF, but down here you've got a pay with PayPal link. Clicking on that gets it to the point where it brings your customer right to the page. And then let me see, did I save a, yeah, so clicking that brings them to this, if you're familiar with using PayPal, this looks the same as if you're checking out on eBay. They enter in their information. You don't have to worry about handling any credit card information or being PCI compliant. That just happens automatically. And that's PayPal's problem, not yours. So again, that is a pretty cool feature of 2017. Cortana Intelligence, that, again, we talked about how that could be, how important that is, but there's, being able to access those APIs from NAV directly. If you've got development staff, that's a really powerful tool. And essentially, what does being able to leverage Cortana mean in terms of your inventory? It means that you can have an overview of expected stockouts. So the predictive analysis that it's doing and suggesting that, especially after you've got some data that's, a fair amount of NAV data that looks at your historicals. It's, hey, October is a really popular time for this item. So, maybe even before you get the orders from your customers, being able to know that historically you've got them puts you in a better position to maybe more efficiently plan your production schedule or your purchasing schedule to have the right stuff. And then obviously making more intelligent choices is important in forecasting sales. So here is a web page view of the items list showing what Microsoft refers to as the brick view that has the item image with some details below. Being able to have an inventory forecast that shows up on the item card. And this is actually a purchase invoice, but it's showing expected inventory forecast off of this item that you're buying. So while you're buying some more of this item, you look at this inventory forecast and you say, you know what, maybe this 43 isn't enough because I see that in a month I'm going to need another 30 or so. I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can lean on the vendor to give me a little bit better rate, save on some shipping, and order some more if cash flow allows for it. And having that information just set up on the appropriate pages in NAV is a humongous advantage. The connector, so again, NAV 2017 is the most flexible version of NAV in terms of what it connects to and what it speaks to and exchanges data with and other applications. Making that easy, being able to not only export information but import information into, so read-write is important. And I see that we are getting up towards the top of the hour, so I'm going to breeze through just these last few. Looking at master templates, these are for customers, vendors, and items, defining those so that within your organization, when this is always a huge challenge. You start with your NAV implementation team from your partner, sets you up on items. You have rock solid data, all the appropriate tax reporting fields, the information in terms of preferred vendor or the routes or BOMs if they're manufactured items. All that stuff is good to go, and then you start using your system and you put it in the hands of your users who then start to, we have to create a new item. So what does that process work like? And do we have a defined process? No, we just need a customer who needs a new custom item, and they start to create it. Using templates can ensure accuracy and can ensure that the no steps are missed in the process of these very important tiny events in the life of an organization. So creating items or creating a customer, you need a tax ID from them. You need to know, their tax nexus and where they're responsible for collecting tax for these customers. And knowing all that information when you're setting up a customer, a vendor, or an item, there's always important information that gets missed. And so using these new templates, master templates, something that NAV 2017 has put in place, again, optionally, but if you implement them, can really help you clean up your data, make it easy for your users not to miss relevant steps. The item attributes that I talked about, those are in being able to translate item attributes. So, being able to recognize that red might be rouge in a different language, but it means the same thing, and being able to set translations on attributes is something that is maybe not something that everyone's ready to utilize right away, but ultimately you can see where Microsoft is going with this. This is all a globally connected business, whether you're doing that now or maybe never plan to, you've got the power to do it if you need to, and Microsoft's putting that all in. So again, extensions relates to the code base. We've talked about that already. And again, just looking at the different versions, sort of the product roadmap, here in the bottom of the screen is what we're looking at. So NAV 2017 is the current version, and we're excited to see when 2018 comes. We expect that to be fourth quarter this year, most likely. But Microsoft has been has a lot of irons in the fire when it comes to ERP, the Dynamics 365 practice, and Project Madeira, and what that means to the GP people and AX. That's all stuff that is swirling around and some uncertainty around it, but what there is no uncertainty of is the Microsoft Dynamics NAV platform and how that has been, the solid mid-market leader for Microsoft, and there's no change in their plans to continue to develop the product and make it better and better each time. So just to reiterate, what we're talking about in the big picture of what's new in 2017, it's bringing the two worlds together of Office 365 and NAV, enhancing the core application in those various manners, and then creating new opportunities for your people to take the information contained in your ERP system and do more with it. The supporting material, we've got a whole bunch of links here, and again, we'll have this slide deck to you, and Abby will post the recording, etc. So be all set with that. But feel free to reach out to me, to any of their account management staff at Innovia that can help you, start to put together this discussion about and really, NAV is such a broad application that very few organizations use all of its power, but being able to help build a value statement about what matters in your organization is what we're here to help do. So let's see, I think we've just got a couple minutes. Abby, are there any questions, or have I sufficiently overwhelmed everyone with the amount of information I've presented?
Jeff, I think that you have perfectly explained everything because we don't have any questions.
Woo, I'm going to take that answer and run with it. Okay, well, great. Then, again, thank you all for being here. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I will be. I'm happy to answer questions, and Abby, you'll do the recording and the sending out, and I get you my slide deck, and we're all set.
Absolutely, we'll have the recording on our website by the end of the day.
All right. Well, thank you again, and have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you on our next webinar.